Welcome back to the world of the Randall. Today we dive into the world of sports and music because Drake has now pointed his lyrical laser beam at none other than LeBron James. If you missed it on Saturday, I believe it was, Drake's frequent collaborating producer, Conductor Williams, uploaded a YouTube video that contained a freestyle where Drake has a bunch of bars that feel like they're either aimed at mostly LeBron and some DeMar. There's some people who are speculating that some of these bars could be at Cole and Lucien Grange, who's the CEO of UMG. There's a lot of shoes that fit this, but none feel like they fit more than LeBron. I mean, in the opening lines, he said, "The world fell in love with the gimmicks. Even my brothers got tickets. Seemed like they loved every minute. Just know this shit is personal to us, and it wasn't just business." In verse 3, he said, "This pulled a rabbit out the hat, and y'all love a magician. It's funny to see all you. Excuse me. It's funny to see you all rejoicing and hugging and kissing. What are we celebrating? I'll rent out the club at Edition." Um, yeah, he goes on and mentioned a couple other things in there, but you get the point. If you want lyric breakdowns, there are other channels for that. I won't be doing that in this specific video, but I do want to give some background on their relationship because I think that from the public eye, you think all these guys are friends, and then all of a sudden you start seeing LeBron at this person's concert and that person's concert, and it's like, oh, they're cool. That's dope to see sports and music collide the way that they do. And I do think that's dope. But when you have a highly contentious situation like we had with the Great Rap War and the things that went on, I do understand some of why Drake might feel some type of way. At the same time, he's done some things that I feel like kind of crossed the line a bit. Um, and so to take things back, Drake and LeBron have known each other for a while. I don't know when they first were introduced to one another, but the first time that I had heard of them really crossing paths was, I believe it is in the Rap Radar interview, and I could be wrong. Um, so don't quote me on it, but I believe it's in the Rap Radar interview where Drake says that Rich Paul convinced him to release Best I Ever Had as the single.
I'll never forget. It was Rich Paul that was telling me that Uptown was the single,
You
right?
like that little down
No,
south?
sorry. It was me telling him that Uptown. I was like, "Yo, Uptown is the one.
Houston.
This is what we
Yeah.
should go with." And he was like, "Yo, nah. Like, what are you talking about? This other one is the one."
Rich Paul is LeBron James's agent. Um, and so they've known each other for a minute. Same with Kendrick. I don't know exactly when Kendrick and LeBron met. I imagine it was probably the 2011 to 2013 range of when Dot dropped Section 80 or Good Kid, Mad City. That feels like the time span where Kendrick was picking up momentum and would have gotten on LeBron's radar. But Drake and LeBron have partied plenty of times. Like if you look up videos of Drake and LeBron, you can find them at clubs, you can find them at private parties, different things like that. They have been friends for a number of years, and LeBron has also been friends with Kendrick for a number of years. My favorite LeBron and Kendrick moment actually came in 2016. Yeah, maybe it's 2015. 2015, I think it was, when uh right after To Pimp a Butterfly, or maybe short in the time span of To Pimp a Butterfly dropping, Kendrick was doing all of these late night performances and he was doing unreleased tracks. And the only way that you could listen to them was by finding them on YouTube, turning that YouTube video into a MP4 to MP3, and then putting it on your phone. After I believe he performed at the Grammys, LeBron tweeted Top Dog and said, like, enough is enough. We need you to drop something. Something got to come out. And that's how we got Untitled Unmastered. I don't know if Kendrick had planned to release that. I don't even remember if anyone has really asked Kendrick about how Untitled Unmastered came to be. But from a fan's perspective, I feel like LeBron's pretty responsible for us getting those 8 tracks. So Kendrick and LeBron have always been, tied together as well. And I think that Drake has been the more forward media facing figure. He's been outside more than Kendrick. I think that, you know, he's had a 15-year run in which he's dominated the charts. He's dominated rap. And so with that, the same way if you compare like the sports side, there's no sports figure in American sports at least that is more popular than LeBron James, especially from the moment he entered the NBA And even now, he's still the most popular player in the league. But in the time span of when Drake started to take over of to the 2009 period, that's like right when, LeBron was at his peak, his athletic peak, I'd say. And, you think about LeBron being in Miami and the two of them partying, they just have a lot of moments. What do those moments look like with Kendrick? I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure that Kendrick and LeBron have crossed paths many a times. For both of these people, LeBron has been on Drake's stage and he's also been on Kendrick's stage. He's been seen partying or turning up at a Kendrick show. He is an enjoyer of music. I don't think that there was at least from my vantage point, I didn't perceive that LeBron was more friends with one or the other. I don't think that just because you pop out in public with somebody that becomes your BFF, no matter how many times you pop out in public. Now there are specific incidents where not incidents, there are specific pairings where you feel like these two guys are really really good friends. Lil Baby and James Harden come to mind, but outside of that, like I don't necessarily pair athletes and artists together a lot because they probably pass each other a lot. They see each other in passing, a picture gets taken. They might see each other 3 times in 2 months, and then all of a sudden, the stories coming out about how these guys are best friends or something. I mean, I think of like Tyler Hero and Jack Harlow when the Tyler Hero song comes out, and good song. Um, but I think Jack Harlow or Tyler Hero was like telling the story about how they became friends and was like, "You're white in a black space, and you're white in a black space," and I'm paraphrasing there, but they were both lit at the time and then they got to be homies. And I think that happens in a lot of athlete and artist circles. So I personally never took it over the top of being like, oh, these guys are best friends. I knew they was homies, but best friends, I think is like, I just didn't take it that way. I think things did deepen a little bit when Drake goes on the shot shortly after the Pusha T defeat, the loss with Pusha T, where Pusha T revealed that he has a child. And I remember being in college at the time when that episode dropped, and it was a big deal. Like Drake hadn't really spoken to anybody about it, and that was going to be his first time. And the shop was still up and coming. It was an opportunity for one cultural powerhouse to talk to another, alongside, of course, Maverick Carter, who I argue is another cultural powerhouse in himself. Um, and I think that was going to be part of what I would consider like a cleanup crew to clean up the loss from Pusha T, because he did lose the battle. But he goes on there, and I remember the episode like the back of my hand, and he basically says like, you know, Kanye essentially set this whole thing up. Kanye West essentially set this whole thing up where Drake flies out to Wyoming where he's working on an album, and Drake flies out there, Kanye gives him the lift yourself beat, and then he plays him, and then he the beat diddy boop boop diddy beat diddy boop, and that thing comes out. And then of course Drake accuses Kanye of telling Pusha T that he has a child. All these dates are rolled out around Drake's Scorpion release date, and so that's what he presents to LeBron and viewers on the show. And I think in a lot of people's minds, it did the job up until Drake says that he recorded a track that would have responded to Pusha T ferociously. But then LeBron asks him, like, well, Jay Prince gets involved at some point, and Drake starts talking to LeBron, and he essentially says, like, he asked LeBron, like, what should I do? Should I respond back ferociously? Yada yada yada. And LeBron interrupts him and says, like, what did I tell you? And Drake gets to stuttering. And so now he essentially gets Lil Broed on a show that is meant to clean up this loss. And that's all anybody remembers that from that. Like, yes, we remember, if you are a hip hop or a sports fan, or really a fan of journalism as well, then I remember that interview. But at the same time, the common person, when you mention Drake, LeBron, the shop, they remember Drake getting Lil Bro. And then you don't really see him speak about it again until the Rap Radar interview, where he does clear the air. It's a much more in-depth interview where you get his side. But that's where, and that's what I remember from that. Um, And so, and I think that Drake is or LeBron is mentioned on Scorpion. Yeah, on Nonstop, where he says like, "How I go from 6 to 23 like I'm LeBron." I think that's the line. Um, and so, like I said, these guys have been. I would consider them frequent collaborators. The friend side of it, not so sure. I think that Drake definitely perceived them as friends. I think that LeBron perceived them as friends too, but how deep of friends, not entirely sure. And so, of course, Kendrick goes on to drop Mr. Morale. LeBron is at one of those shows. He's turning up. Like, this is what LeBron does. If you have followed LeBron, you know how much he enjoys music. This is not new, and I don't think it's particularly new for an athlete to go to a concert and enjoy the show. Because it's LeBron James, these things are publicized way more than anything else. I mean, even when Steph is at a concert or when KD's at a concert or when like Tom Brady's at a concert, it just doesn't really generate the buzz that when LeBron's at a concert, it does. I mean, social channels across sports and music just posted, oh, look at LeBron turning up to Kendrick. Look at LeBron turning up to Drake. Um, at some point, people are speculating that they became that Drake and LeBron had some tension. I don't have any I can't confirm that. I don't know where it would have started or anything like that, but I do know that LeBron was also the face of the 2024 Louis Vuitton spring and summer campaign. Now, why is that important? Because who is running Louis Vuitton right now is Pharrell Williams. And um I believe I can't remember Travis Scott's latest album, Utopia. There it is. Utopia dropped, and you have Drake taking shots at Pharrell. I melt down the chains of your bosses, yada yada yada. Since V not around, the member's not even wearing that. Like some very potent shots, I'd say, at Pharrell. LeBron goes on to be this cover boy for the Louis Vuitton collection. I don't know if Drake would have felt a way about that, but I do know that Drake is very petty. Um, and he has never really forgiven this thing between Cash Money and Pharrell, and a beef that really he inherited. And Pharrell has never had a response for him. I think that, as Kendrick said, F all that pushing P. Like, let me see you push a T. You better off spending again on him than think about pushing me. Like Kendrick said, and that's not even the line. I just forgot the Pharrell line on Euphoria. Um, let's see if I can remember it. Pharrell. I don't remember it. But he took a shot at or Kendrick said he inherited the beef from Pharrell. And so I think that there's a possibility that maybe Drake felt slighted by that. And the only reason I'm saying that is because if he's petty enough to see LeBron James turning up at his own birthday party requesting Man at the Garden by Kendrick Lamar and rapping those words, which contain no shots to Drake, and then release this in the days following, I think he's petty enough to take a collaboration on a fashion project and turn it nothing into something. Fast forward to later in the year, of course, the great rap war starts. Kendrick drops like that. LeBron rapped that too at a Lakers game. I remember seeing him like turn up to it. And then, of course, Drake drops push ups. I don't think push ups got the play that like that did. Like that was a number one record. I don't remember where exactly push ups debuted on the track, but it definitely wasn't in arenas the same way that um like that was. And in large part, that's because I also think it took as long as it did to get up on services. Like DJ Academics was the only one to have it before DJ Head essentially pressured Drake into releasing an official version. We got the official version. And then, of course, Taylor made freestyle drops, but push ups didn't really run, I'd say, the arenas or the sports world like that. I do think that there were some people who were listening to it, but it didn't have the same like that approach. And so, of course, Kendrick comes back with Euphoria, um, 616 in LA, Family Matters drops. within an hour, I think it's 30 minutes actually. Meet the Grams drops, and who is mentioned in Meet the Grams? A LeBron, keep the family away. A Curry, keep the family away. And that whole verse, it mentions like how Drake's embassy, the house he has in Toronto, is one day going to get raided by the feds for uh, whatever Kendrick thinks that Drake has done. Um, the day after, Not Like Us drops, and the rest is history. The Heart Part 6 comes out. It's trash. Not Like Us is a bop. And then, of course, you see LeBron turning up to it. Like he goes to the pop out. I went to the pop out. I saw him there. He was having a grand time. I was honestly shocked he didn't get on stage. I think that it would have looked weird if he did, because although I think that, you know, LeBron is a cultural figure and I think he can get on any stage he wants to at any given time. At that specific moment, it was very clearly a moment for LA. I don't know. I'd have to ask someone from LA, someone born and bred from Los Angeles, if they say LeBron is a part of LA culture the same way that I'd say Kobe was. Like Kobe spent so much time there, and LeBron spent time in Cleveland. LeBron spent time in Miami, went back to Cleveland. Now he's in LA. He's been there, which is crazy to think. He's been there for like 8 years now. Is it 8 years? It's seven years, I think. And so he's won one championship. I think he's had a lot of fun moments. The great moments have been like few and far between, in large part probably because of the CBA rules in the NBA, and then just ownership and roster building, and just the NBA skill level getting better. But with that in mind, had he shown up on the pop-up stage, there would have a lot of people been like, oh, look at LeBron clout chasing, LeBron on stage with Kendrick. But in Drake's eyes, if you read that line, he says, even my brothers got tickets. I don't think it mattered to Drake that LeBron wasn't on stage. The fact that he was at the show, Drake felt slighted by that. And then, of course, after the show is over, LeBron goes on to play the Olympics. There's this clip that goes viral where Steph Curry is like, damn this song. And LeBron's like, I love it. I love it. And you know, he was enjoying the moment just like I think the rest of us. But for Drake, you have a song, a number one song for 2 or 3 weeks straight that is accusing you and your affiliates of pedophilia. Um, and then you see somebody who you used to party with saying, I love this song. I would feel some type of way too. It would be difficult for me to separate that side of things of like, oh, this is, he's just loving the competition of rap, because it did get as personal as it did. And I think that the reason it got personal, and this is just my opinion, but the reason it got personal is because of Drake. Like Drake mentioned Kendrick's fiance slash partner, Whitney, first. If you go down the line of all the subliminals that Drake and Kendrick have taken at each other, even before the great rap war began, it didn't feel like anything was really personal. Like if you go to the song "On Nothing Was the Same," where Drake says, like, I don't know why they've been lying, but your shit is not that inspiring. Bank account statements looking like I'm early retirement. Um, fuck all that shit. Fuck a nigga that's talking reaction just to get a reaction. Like those lines to me don't feel personal. They don't attack Kendrick's family. But when Push-Ups comes out, what does Drake say? And this is a strategy that Drake has employed in any rap battle he's going to be in. The number one thing he's going to do is attack the women in your life. He did it with Pusha T, Virginia Williams. He did it with Meek Mill and Nicki Minaj at the time. He did it with Kendrick with Miss Alford. And so he says, I'll be with some bodyguards like Whitney. Kendrick says, the first thing in Euphoria is I make music that electrify him. You make music that pacify him. I could double down on that line. That's random acts of kindness. Like that was warning number one. Warning number two came later in Euphoria. We ain't got to get personal. It's a friendly fade. You should keep it that way. I know some shit about is that make Gunna want to look like a saint. Like these are very, very clear warnings from my point of view that Kendrick is like, yo, we can keep this a boxing match if you want it to be. And then Family Matters, a 616 in LA comes out. Again, no personal tracks. Kendrick kind of feel like he's playing mind games with Drake. And then Family Matters drops. Drake doubles down on the wife beater or woman beater claims. He also says that Dave Free is the father to Kendrick's children, which, if you watch the Not Like Us video, there is no way that's true. Kendrick's children look like him. Um, but again, like, the personal attacks, I feel like, just based on what we know, started with Drake. And so when Kendrick took it to the next level and really crashed out on him, like, it just went the way that it went. And I find little sympathy, empathy, and I don't have any bad feelings or feel bad for Drake for the way the situation went, because they both did the same thing. One person said something bad, another person said something bad, another person said, like, they all did this thing where they hopped in the ring and there were no rules. They just went at it. We don't have no footage of um we don't have any footage of Kendrick allegedly beating on a woman. We don't have any concrete claims of Drake and Drake being a pedophile. I do think that there has been suspect things out there that Drake never put an end to, but nothing that you could say that Drake is a pedophile. I don't think that that's out there in concrete. But but in the end, it didn't matter. Like, Kendrick won regardless. Not Like Us was a hit regardless. And then, of course, Drake sues, yada yada yada, and we get to this point where yesterday, Drake is a DM from him gets exposed, and it is with a guy named. One second, I gotta find this really quickly. But essentially, a DM conversation gets exposed where Drake is mentioning um, LeBron again, and in a way that I feel like is not. It's just not necessary. Is okay. I found it. It's from a guy named Chris Blake Griffith, where I guess Drake unfollowed him at some point, and so they get into this verbal exchange where Drake says, you asking me to promote your album or your project and you snitching. The guy basically sends a long, long message. You can go to his Instagram if you want to. It's Chris Blake Griffith. Um, and then Drake says something really interesting where he says, I don't know the details, fam. I'm just showing you outside perception. I think there's better ways to go about it. Me and Universal is like if Nike was funding a campaign about LeBron cheating on his wife, not Adidas or Reebok. Nike, the company, has been with since he started. My situation is not no street shit. Everybody before me that tried the label was too eccentric, so they wrote them off as crazy and they never had to pay for their sins and mistakes. I'm going to change and make the building a safer place for every artist moving forward. Then he goes on to say, like, yada 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 about the situation with Chris Blake Griffith and stuff like that. Academics comes out and says that it's fake. In response to that, like, Chris Blake Griffith uploads the actual DMs um to with him and Drake. Like, he screen records it, he goes right into the messages and it's right there. Um I don't believe that conversation is fake. I don't. Not after seeing the screen recording. I do think, like, yes, you can 100% create screenshots and stuff like that. But a screen recording, eh, it feels far fetched for someone to go out of their way that far to, you know, expose someone for what. With that being said, why in the world would you use that analogy? Like, LeBron cheating on Savannah and Nike funding it. Not apples to apples. Not apples to apples at all. We're talking like it's, it's just not apples to apples. Savannah James is not signed to Nike. It would if this here's a perfect example of this. LeBron did not sue Nike when Kevin Durant beat him in the NBA Finals and Nike posted an advertisement of Kevin Durant's shoe and they sold t-shirts and they did all these things. He didn't do that. Why? Because they're both signed to Nike. They're both Nike athletes. So Kendrick is also signed to UMG. UMG promoting Not Like Us. If and granted, we don't have all the evidence yet, and the court filings are going to be the court filings, and we'll have to see how it plays out in court. But from what we know right now, it doesn't appear that UMG we have not seen any evidence that UMG did anything wrong. And so with the LeBron comparison, Savannah's not signed to Nike. Kendrick is signed to UMG. You could argue. I don't think that it's a fair argument that if when Steph and Kevin Durant beat LeBron in the finals and Nike promoted Kevin Durant, did that disparage LeBron? Sure. There's someone in the world who would argue that, like, oh, they shouldn't post that LeBron's their most popular athlete, X, Y, and Z. But no athlete would be dumb enough to do that. I just don't see that as an apples to apples to comparison. And it makes you wonder, like, why in the world are you bringing up somebody else's marriage? Like, why are you? I don't know that that's snitching. I don't think that that is snitching, but it's just like, why? Why? You had a fade with Kendrick and you lost. If you want to take it up in court, like the whole culture is telling you that's not keeping it G. You said that rap is weird. Then you said rap's not dead. It'll never die. Like I feel like you're moving, Drake, funny in a sense of how you are walking within the culture now that you lost this battle. Granted, I don't think anything's going to um erase your legacy in the 15 years that you ran rap or in the 15 years of dominance that you had. However, you are doing a damn good job of tarnishing some of the things that we have enjoyed the most about you. The response to Pusha T was Scorpion, and Scorpion had hits on there, and Drake went on a tear after that. The response to Kendrick in this is like a hissy fit throughout the entire thing, like from one move to the next, to the next, to the next. And I do think that the Fighting Irish freestyle is a good record. However, now these screenshots are coming out. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? What does LeBron have to do with this besides him being one of the millions of people who enjoy Not Like Us? I understand that y'all got a history and whatnot. There's a lot of people, Anthony Edwards, who enjoyed Not Like Us. There's videos of Anthony Edwards enjoying this too. You know who is mentoring Anthony Edwards? Kevin Durant. Who is Kevin Durant with? OVO. Like, what are we talking about here? If you are going to single out every single public person who enjoyed Not Like Us, why don't you just put that energy in rapping again? That part of it just does not make sense to me. Where do we go from here? Not sure. Maul from the Rory and Maul podcast said that he expects the Drake and Party Next Door album to drop by the end of the month. Of course, Kendrick is going to perform at the Super Bowl. I do expect an interview there during Super Bowl week. Why do I expect that? I did not go to the Usher interview, but I was at the Rihanna one in 2023. Usher did an interview before then. You had the LA interview with Dr. Dre and Mary J. Blige, and there was another artist up there as well. Snoop Dogg was up there. So artists normally do interviews the week of the Super Bowl. I think Kendrick will do one. He's definitely good. If Apple Music interviews him and it's Nadeska or it's Ebro or whoever it is, it might be a guest interviewer. I do expect someone to ask him about Not Like Us. I would kind of be I would definitely be disappointed if no one asked him, but that's what's coming next. I expect there to be some sort of announcement following Super Bowl Sunday. Don't know what it is. I've already told you all I am 0 for 4 or 5 on guessing Kendrick Lamar's moves. Maybe it's the movie trailer that he has coming out this summer. Don't know. But that's what's coming next. Drake will be in Australia performing on the Anita Win Max tour. I think that's what it's called. And then we'll see where things go. But that's all I got for you all today. I'm interested to know what you all think of this LeBron Drake situation and what's your take on it. My take is that it's a bit unnecessary, and the energy that he's putting towards LeBron could be put towards the music, and then we can get back to enjoying some of these things again. It's too much theatrics and drama. Like, you lost. Oh well. Anyways, that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be back to uploading regularly now that the holidays are over. I should have better prepared for that in the first place, but I appreciate you all tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is The World with Randall Williams. See you all next time.